There are some gods who rule through power, others through fear, others through wisdom. But some deities exist not to command the heavens, but to maintain balance itself. Tonight's figure belongs to that final category, a being with two faces, two realms, two natures existing within a single body. One side black as shadow, the other gold-white like sacred light. A deity capable of seeing both the realm of yin and the realm of yang simultaneously, the world of death and the world of the living. His name is Yinyanggong, a Taoist deity associated with balance, judgment, duality, and the eternal tension between opposing forces. He is often described as assisting the gods of the underworld, helping distinguish good from evil, and maintaining fairness between spiritual realms. Despite his fearsome appearance, Yinyanggong was not simply an executioner or punisher. He was an observer, a mediator, a being who understood that darkness and light cannot exist without one another. According to legend, Yinyanggong once served as the general manager and assistant official to the Wufu emperor. And when the emperor's temple faced destruction, Yinyanggong disguised himself as the Wufu emperor to shield his master from danger and unwanted attention. Even among gods, loyalty mattered. Tonight, witches and wanderers, we entered the temples and spiritual traditions of Taoist mythology, and we meet the divided-faced deity standing between shadow and light. Hello, and welcome back, witches and wanderers, to the Morbid Witch Podcast, where we explore myths, folklore, legends, cryptids, gods, spirits, and the darker corners of human storytelling. I'm your host, Kari Murders. Each episode, we journey into ancient beliefs and strange tales carried across generations. Some stories are terrifying, others are tragic, and some reveal profound ideas about humanity itself. Tonight's episode explores Yinyanggong, a lesser-known Taoist deity whose symbolism centers around balance, morality, duality, and judgment. While he may not be as famous as many larger mythological figures, his imagery and role within Taoist tradition are deeply fascinating, because Yinyanggong represents something universal. The tension between opposites, life and death, mercy and punishment, darkness and illumination, and the understanding that neither side can fully exist without the other. If you are new here, welcome. And if you're a returning listener, it's always good to have you back. To all my witches and wanderers, thank you for being here and continuing to support the show. Every listen, every rating, every comment, and every shared episode helps keep this strange little corner of storytelling alive. I truly appreciate every one of you spending your time here with me. Before we begin, just a quick reminder. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. And if you're listening on Spotify, please take a moment to rate the show. You can listen to the Morbid Witch Podcast on Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. Now, let's step into the balance between yin and yang. Before we can truly understand Yinyanggong, we first need to understand the concept at the heart of his identity, yin and yang. In Taoist philosophy, yin and yang are opposing but interconnected forces that exist throughout the universe. Rather than representing good versus evil in a simplistic sense, yin and yang symbolize complementary opposites that depend upon each other for balance. Yin is often associated with darkness, stillness, cold, femininity, night, introspection, and the spiritual realm. Yang is associated with light, movement, heat, masculinity, activity, and life. Importantly, neither force is considered inherently superior. Harmony exists only when both remain balanced. This philosophy shaped enormous portions of Chinese spirituality, medicine, cosmology, martial arts, and mythology. The famous Taijitu symbol, the black and white yin-yang circle, visually represents this relationship. Each side contains a small portion of the other, reflecting the belief that opposites are never truly separate. Yinyanggong embodies this balance directly within his appearance. His divided face symbolizes his ability to perceive both sides of existence simultaneously. He sees both yin and yang, both darkness and illumination, both death and life. This dual vision allows him to judge fairly because he understands the full complexity of existence. There is something deeply philosophical about that imagery. At being capable of seeing all sides equally, without bias, without illusion. And perhaps that is what makes Yinyanggong so compelling. He is not blinded by light, nor consumed by darkness. He stands between them. Descriptions of Yinyanggong are striking and deeply symbolic. He is most often depicted with a divided face. One side is black, representing yin, shadow, death, and spiritual mystery. The other side is gold or white, representing yang, light, vitality, and clarity. The split appearance immediately sets him apart from many traditional deities. He visually embodies contradiction and coexistence at once. The imagery almost feels unsettling because humans naturally prefer categories and certainty. Yinyanggong resists that simplicity entirely. In Taoist spiritual imagery, color carries powerful symbolic meaning. Black often represents the unknown, hidden wisdom, and the depths of spiritual reality. White or gold symbolizes divine illumination, purity, heavenly order, and transcendent energy. By carrying both simultaneously, Yinyanggong becomes a living expression of cosmic balance. Some depictions portray him wearing official robes similar to underworld judges or imperial officials. This reflects his role assisting divine bureaucracies within Taoist cosmology. Chinese spiritual traditions frequently imagine the heavens and underworld operating almost like celestial governments filled with officials, judges, scribes, and administrators. Yinyanggong's divided face also reflects another important idea. True judgment requires perspective. Someone who sees only light may become naive. Someone who sees only darkness may become cruel. But someone who understands both may judge fairly. Yinyanggong is often associated with the gods and officials of the underworld. Taoist cosmology contains elaborate spiritual realms where souls are judged, guided, punished, or purified after death. These realms were not always viewed as eternally fixed destinations, but as complex systems tied to morality, karma, and cosmic balance. The underworld within Chinese tradition is often called Diyu, a realm overseen by judges and divine magistrates. Souls passing through these courts faced evaluations of their earthly actions. Punishments, reincarnation, or spiritual progression depended upon those judgments. Within these systems, fairness mattered enormously. The cosmic order depended upon balance being maintained between actions and consequences. Yinyanggong's ability to perceive yin and yang made him especially suited for this role. He could supposedly distinguish good from evil clearly because he understood both human weakness and spiritual law. This makes him fascinating compared to many purely punitive underworld figures in mythology. Yinyanggong is not merely an enforcer. He is a mediator between opposites. His role suggests wisdom rather than simple punishment. And perhaps that reflects Taoism itself. Balance matters more than extremes. Harmony matters more than domination, even within death. One of the most interesting legends surrounding Yinyanggong involves the Wufu Emperor. According to tradition, Yinyanggong served as the general manager and assistant official among the emperor's staff. His position suggests not only loyalty, but also significant authority and trust. At one point, the Wufu Emperor Temple was threatened with demolition. During this dangerous period, Yinyanggong disguised himself as the Wufu Emperor to draw attention away from his master and protect him from scrutiny. This act of impersonation was not betrayal. It was sacrifice and devotion. The story reveals another side of Yinyanggong's nature. He is not simply a judge, he is also deeply loyal. He willingly places himself at risk to shield another deity from harm. This willingness to blur identities also fits his symbolism beautifully. Yinyanggong exists between categories and opposites. He crosses boundaries others cannot. The legend also reflects how temples historically functioned within communities. Temples were not only spiritual centers, but social and political spaces. Their destruction carried emotional and cultural consequences. Stories of protective deities defending temples therefore became expressions of communal resilience and sacred continuity. In this sense, Yinyanggong's actions symbolize preservation, the protection of sacred order during periods of instability, and perhaps even the idea that balance itself sometimes requires sacrifice. Before we continue, Witches and Wanderers, let's pause for just a moment. Thank you for being here and spending your time with the Morbid Witch Podcast. Whether you're listening beneath candlelight, relaxing at night, or driving through the dark, I truly appreciate every one of you. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts about tonight's mythology. And if you're listening on Spotify, please take a moment to rate the show. You can listen to the Morbid Witch Podcast on Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. Now, let's return to the deity standing between worlds. Part of what makes Yinyanggong so compelling is how deeply human his symbolism feels. The concept of duality exists across countless cultures because humans themselves contain contradictions. Compassion and cruelty, fear and courage, hope and despair. No individual exists entirely within one category. Yinyanggong's divided face reflects this reality directly. We all carry shadow and light simultaneously. This may explain why balance is such an important theme within Taoism. Extreme imbalance, whether emotional, spiritual, or societal, creates suffering. Harmony does not require perfection. Instead, it requires awareness and acceptance of complexity. Modern audiences often interpret morality in rigid terms, but Yinyanggong symbolism suggests something more nuanced. True wisdom may require understanding darkness without surrendering to it. It may require acknowledging flaws without abandoning compassion. The deity's appearance almost forces confrontation with the uncomfortable truths. Good and evil are not always simple. Light can blind. Darkness can reveal hidden truths. And perhaps fair judgment can only come from someone willing to see both. Compared to larger mythological figures, Yinyanggong remains reflectively obscured outside Taoist traditions. Yet his symbolism continues to resonate strongly because the ideas he represents remain timeless. Humanity constantly struggles to reconcile opposites: justice and mercy, life and death, individuality and balance. His divided face remains powerful imagery even today, especially in a world increasingly obsessed with absolutes. There is also something hauntingly beautiful about a deity associated with the underworld, who is not driven purely by fear or punishment. Yinyanggong represents understanding, perspective, cosmic fairness. He sees both sides because existence itself contains both sides, and perhaps that is why his mythology endures quietly beneath larger legends, not through spectacle, but through meaning. Because every person eventually faces moments where certainty disappears, moments where light and darkness blur together, moments where balance feels fragile, and in those moments, perhaps Yinyanggong still watches, standing between worlds, judging fairly, seeing all things exactly as they are. Thank you for listening to the Morbid Witch Podcast, and thank you to all my witches and wanderers for continuing to support the show. Every listen, every rating, every comment, and every share helps keep these stories alive. I truly appreciate every one of you spending your time here with me. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, make sure you're following the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify, please take a moment to rate the show. Until next time, stay strange, stay spooky, and remember, the shadows are always watching.